From the dawn of civilization, the specter of war has haunted humanity. It's a horrifying ballet, a gruesome dance of ideologies, ambitions, and survival that has shaped the destiny of nations and left an undeniable scar on the very soul of mankind. We often talk about the victors, the heroes, the turning points, but what about the sheer scale of human suffering that underpins these conflicts? In this series, we embark on a journey through the annals of history to confront the brutal reality of the deadliest wars ever waged. Through a combination of meticulous research, gripping storytelling, and powerful visuals including maps, historical footage, and dramatic music, we aim to provide a visceral understanding of these conflicts. We'll delve into the battles that decimated populations, the sieges that starved millions, and the ideologies that fueled such unimaginable bloodshed. Join us, if you dare, as we rank and explore the top 10 most brutal wars in history by their staggering death tolls. Imagine Europe in the early 19th century, a powder keg of revolution, ambition, and simmering tension. From the ashes of the French Revolution rises a figure who would come to embody both brilliance and tyranny: Napoleon Bonaparte. A master strategist, a charismatic leader, but also a man whose ambitions would plunge Europe into over a decade of relentless warfare. The Napoleonic Wars weren't just a series of battles, they were a seismic shift in the geopolitical landscape. Picture the thunderous roar of cannons at Austerlitz, where Napoleon's tactical genius outmaneuvered the combined might of Austria and Russia. Visualize the brutal struggle in the Spanish countryside, a guerrilla war that bled France dry and foreshadowed the conflicts of the 20th century. The Napoleonic Wars shattered the old order, redrew the map of Europe, and sowed the seeds for future conflicts. They serve as a chilling reminder that progress and enlightenment can coexist with unimaginable brutality. The year is 1917. Russia, reeling from World War I, is plunged into revolution. The Tsar is overthrown, the Romanov dynasty collapses. A brutal conflict pits brother against brother. The Bolsheviks, led by Lenin, promise a communist utopia. Opposing them, the White Russians fight to preserve the old order. The Red Terror and White Army reprisals fuel the conflict. Millions of lives are lost, leaving a legacy of division. Step back in time to the 17th century, to an era when Europe was a tapestry of kingdoms and principalities, riven by religious and political tensions. The 30 Years' War, a conflict so sprawling, so complex, and so brutal that it defies easy categorization. Imagine the Holy Roman Empire, a patchwork of states erupting into violence as Catholic and Protestant factions clash. Picture the armies of the Habsburg Emperor determined to impose their will on the German princes, only to find themselves mired in a conflict that would drag on for decades. Envision the Swedish king, Gustavus Adolphus, a Protestant champion, leading his troops to victory at Breitenfeld, a glimmer of hope in a war defined by its brutality. This wasn't just a clash of armies, it was a war that engulfed entire populations. The 30 Years' War was a maelstrom of shifting alliances, betrayals, and unimaginable cruelty. By the time the guns finally fell silent in 1648 with the Peace of Westphalia, Europe lay in ruins. Chapter 7. The Taiping Rebellion, a Kingdom Divided. 19th century China, a land in turmoil, grappling with internal strife and Western imperialism. The Taiping Rebellion, one of the deadliest conflicts in history, led by Hong Xiuquan, who proclaimed himself the younger brother of Jesus Christ. Disillusioned peasants flocked to Hong's banner. The Taiping army captured Nanjing, establishing it as their capital, a full-blown civil war that tore China apart. By 1864, China lay in ruins, its population decimated. Chapter 6. World War I. The Great War's Grim Toll. The year is 1914. Europe, a continent teetering on the brink, plunges headlong into a conflict that will forever be etched in our collective memory: World War I. This wasn't just a war, it was a cataclysm, a global conflagration that shattered empires, redrew the map of the world, and left an entire generation scarred by its horrors. Imagine the initial wave of patriotic fervor, the young men marching off to war believing it would be over by Christmas. Picture the grim reality of trench warfare, the endless lines of barbed wire, the mud, the rats, the stench of death that permeated everything. World War I was a war of attrition, a grinding, brutal conflict that relied on artillery barrages that pulverized the landscape and machine guns that mowed down men by the thousands. It was a war that left millions dead, empires shattered, and a world grappling with the question, how could this have happened? Chapter 5. The Second Congo War, Africa's World War. We shift our focus to the Democratic Republic of Congo, grappling with colonialism, poverty, and ethnic strife. The Second Congo War, overshadowed but deadly, ranks among the deadliest in history. A conflict drawing in 9 nations, vying for Congo's vast mineral wealth. A war waged in villages and jungles, civilians caught in the crossfire. A humanitarian catastrophe fueled by greed, ethnic hatred, and indifference. Chapter 4. The Qing Dynasty, Conquest of the Ming Dynasty, a transition in blood. Let's travel back to 17th century China, a time of immense change and upheaval. The Ming Dynasty, which had ruled for centuries, was crumbling from within, weakened by corruption, economic woes, and peasant uprisings. In the north, a new power was rising, the Manchu-led Qing Dynasty, poised to seize control and establish a new era in Chinese history. The Qing conquest of the Ming wasn't a swift and decisive affair, it was a protracted and bloody conflict that engulfed much of China. Imagine the Manchu armies, skilled horsemen and fierce warriors descending from the north, clashing with the Ming forces in a series of battles that would determine the fate of China. The Qing conquest wasn't just about military victories, it was a struggle for legitimacy, for the hearts and minds of the Chinese people. The Qing conquest of the Ming was a period of immense upheaval, a time of war, chaos, and ultimately, the birth of a new dynasty that would rule China for centuries to come. Chapter 3. The Taiping Rebellion, a dagger in the heart of Tang China. Our journey takes us now to 8th century China, to the glittering Tang dynasty, an era often considered the golden age of Chinese civilization. But even in this time of prosperity and cultural brilliance, the seeds of chaos were being sown. The Taiping Rebellion, a revolt that would shake the Tang dynasty to its core and leave an indelible scar on Chinese history. Imagine Taiping, a Tang general of Sogdian and Turkish origin, a charismatic but ambitious figure who rose to prominence through his military exploits. Picture him, fueled by resentment and a lust for power, turning against his emperor and igniting a rebellion that would engulf much of China. The Taiping Rebellion wasn't just a military conflict, it was a social and political earthquake that shattered the peace and prosperity of the Tang dynasty. Though ultimately crushed, it left the Tang dynasty severely weakened, its aura of invincibility shattered. Chapter 2. World War II, Humanity's Darkest Hour. The year is 1939. The world, still reeling from the horrors of World War I, watches in disbelief as the Nazi war machine unleashes its fury upon Poland, igniting a global conflict that will forever be etched in our collective memory as World War II. This wasn't just a war, it was a clash of ideologies, a battle for the very soul of humanity. Imagine the Nazi blitzkrieg, a whirlwind of tanks and planes sweeping across Europe, crushing everything in its path. Picture the Battle of Britain, a desperate struggle for air superiority, as British pilots fought valiantly against overwhelming odds. World War II was a conflict that tested the limits of human endurance, a testament to both our capacity for unimaginable cruelty and extraordinary courage. It was a war that left millions dead, cities in ruins, and a world forever changed. Chapter 1. The Mongol Conquests, a Storm from the East. Let's journey back to the 13th century, to the vast steppes of Central Asia, where a new power was emerging, a force that would reshape the world, the Mongols. Led by the legendary Genghis Khan, a brilliant strategist and ruthless conqueror, the Mongols embarked on a campaign of conquest that would create the largest contiguous land empire in history. Imagine the Mongol horsemen, masters of mounted warfare, sweeping across Asia and Europe, their arrows darkening the sky. Picture the terror they inspired, their reputation for brutality preceding them, cities surrendering without a fight to avoid their wrath. The Mongol conquests weren't just about military might. They were a testament to the Mongols' adaptability, their ability to incorporate conquered peoples and technologies into their ranks. But the Mongol conquests came at a terrible cost, with cities razed to the ground and populations decimated. The Mongol conquests, while ushering in an era of Pax Mongolica, left an indelible mark on the world, a testament to the enduring power of the human capacity for both creation and destruction. Outro, the echoes of war lessons for humanity. History's deadliest conflicts remind us of the human cost of war. Each death represents a life cut short, a family torn apart. These conflicts show the destructive power of human ambition, but amidst the darkness there are glimmers of hope. The resilience of the human spirit shines through. It's our duty to strive for peace and cooperation. Let the memory of these conflicts remind us of the importance of peace.